So let's begin building our first Enoch Michael understanding in the Book of the Watchers section, where chapter 6 sets the scene for Michael's entrance in chapter 9. Here we'll just read some selected verses out of chapters 6 through 8. 6:1. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. This should ring a bell, as it's pulling right out of Genesis 6, 1 through 2, almost verbatim. Enoch 6:1 says that the daughters were beautiful, which is the description in Genesis 6:2. But the important piece is that Enoch is clearly interpreting Genesis 6's sons of God as heavenly beings who procreated with the female earth dwellers to produce the Nephilim, i.e. the giants. Sidebar here is that Josephus also took the angelic view on Genesis 6, 1 through 4. So, if you were looking at the Second Temple period, is that you have both Josephus and the Essenes taking the angelic view. For Josephus is that he very likely came from a Pharisaic background, but there's nothing that definitively loops him in with them. Paul said in Acts 23:8 that the Sadducees don't believe in resurrection, angels, or spirits, but the Pharisees confess both. So, I think there is a strong chance that the Pharisees took the angelic view like Josephus did until their rabbinic movement occurred in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. This then begs the question about the New Testament writers. That we will see here shortly by continuing on in our first Enoch chapter 7 and 8 descriptions that are very short. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go into unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art working of them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all of their ways. Semjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings, Armoros the resolving of enchantments, Barachil taught astrology, Kababel the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Erechil the signs of the earth, Shamziel the signs of the sun, and Cyril the course of the moon. Breaking in quickly here is that the earth is so corrupt because of the angelic rebellion and their giant offspring, which the chapter ends saying, And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. So what we have here is men upon the earth praying to God for help because the fallen angels are polluting the earth so bad. Enter Michael. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. The big observant piece here is that the Enochian writer put 4 angels together in the scene for us. To me, this is no different than what we saw in part 1 of our study with 4Q285 or the War Scroll in 1QM. And what I said there was what the scroll writer was doing was working off of Daniel 10:13's angelic princes that Michael is one of. And to me, this makes the most sense with the Enochian writer here as well. Where exactly did the Enoch writer get the other 2 names from? Nobody can say for sure. But we do see Raphael in the book of Tobit 20 times. Continuing on. And they said to one another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our case before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto all generations of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things thou hast. And all things are naked and open in thy sight, and you see all things, and nothing can hide itself from you. I'm going to break in here for a moment because this has clearly shows what the Qumran community's understanding of who Michael is not, as we just saw that these 4 were discussing the outcry from the earth amongst each other. Then, collectively, they went and petitioned to God, indicating that the Enochian writer did not equate Michael with God. And if you're an SDA out there who believes that Jesus is the eternal creator God, and also Michael, is that they, the Jewish community living 200 years or more before Christ, would say you are dead wrong. In chapter 10, the Most High responds by giving each of the 4 orders as to how to handle the situation, which again shows the distinction between God and Michael in the community's eyes. And God tells Michael to go bind Shemjaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. So, the sons of God were bound up just like they are stated to be in 2 Peter 2:4, and kept there until the eschaton at the day of the Lord, where their final judgment will be rendered. This description is also found in Jude, verse 6. Now, Jude also said that these angels left their first estate, their own habitation, meaning heaven. This is the exact description that is found in Enoch 12:4, where he describes the angels as watchers, a Daniel 4 term. This abandoning is also described in Enoch 15:3. So, I personally think that it's obvious to see the same descriptions in Jude and 2 Peter as here in 1 Enoch. That should put the New Testament writers in the angelic view camp and fully shows that it was the dominant view in the Second Temple period. And this helps answer who are the spirits in prison found in 1 Peter 3:19 through 20 that were disobedient during Noah's pre-flood days. And the simple reason why any reader of the Old Testament would know that the sons of God are referring to angels is because in Job, they are clearly heavenly beings that came before the Lord and are explicitly referred to as the morning stars, i.e. angels, in Job 38:7. Now, back to Enoch 10:11, where Michael was given this marching order by God to bind the rebellious angels. The thing to note here is that Raphael was also told to bind Azazel, where he too is said to be kept in darkness until the day of the Lord. The interesting thing here is that one of the two goats on the Day of Atonement was for Azazel. Many versions will say scapegoat, but there are scholars like Dr. Michael Heiser who see a proper name here, and with that is that this provides the source for the Enochian writer of Azazel, the leader of the rebellious angels. Now we're going to move ahead to chapter 20, because in that chapter we get a breakdown of job duties that Michael has, and also for other angels too. Enoch 20. And these are the names of the holy angels who watch. Uriel, one of the holy angels, who is over the world and over Tartarus. Raphael, one of the holy angels, who is over the spirits of men. Rachiel, one of the holy angels, who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries. Interesting note here is that Tartarus is actually the Greek word here for hell, but there are translations that will say Tartarus in them. Continuing on. Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best part of mankind and over chaos. Sirakel, one of the holy angels, who is set over the spirits who sin in the spirit. Gabriel, one of the holy angels, who is over paradise and the serpents and the cherubim. Remiel, one of the holy angels, whom God set over those who rise. Another interesting note here is Gabriel's station over paradise. This term is found in the New Testament 3 times, with the most famous of them coming from Jesus to the thief on the cross. Now, collectively, you likely picked up on that there were 7 angels listed. Biblically, we know that only Michael and Gabriel are directly named in the Bible. But the idea of there being 7 archangels finds its roots in 1 Enoch, as Uriel is directly called an archangel, like Michael is in Jude 9. In the book of Tobit, Raphael is the lead angel in this story, but in chapter 12, it says he is one of the 7 angels who stand ready and enter before the glory of the Lord. This should sound familiar, as Revelation 8 has 7 angels that are said to be standing before God, who are about to receive the 7 trumpets. So, it's very possible that John's description is the same thing that Enoch and Tobit had described. Now, for a couple of Daniel-related nuggets, here is that these angels were described as watchers. This description is only found in Daniel 4, with angels being called watchers. The Enochian writer is using this description with these 7, but he also did that with the Genesis 6 sons of God, who produced the Nephilim. So, the Enochian writer here again ontologically equates Michael with all the rest of the watchers who are created beings. Thus, he is not God in the mind of the Qumran community members. And this flows right into the next Daniel-related point. All 7 of these are described as one of the holy angels, which is exactly how Michael is described in Daniel 10:13 as one of the chief princes. The connection and interpretation by the Enochian writer here of Daniel 10:13 is obvious. Michael is ontologically and categorically just like the other 7 archangels, which the Enochian writer described in these 8 verses as watchers and as a special set of 7 angels that he got from Daniel's descriptions in chapter 4, verses 13, 17, and 23, and in 10:13, that provide the basis of why the writer or writers referred to Michael as a watcher. In chapter 24, the Enochian writer refers to Michael in verse 6, where he has Michael saying to Enoch the following: "And Michael answered, saying, This high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the Holy Great One, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit, when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness." This is Michael flat out saying, "I am not God." So, sorry SDA listeners out there, the Qumran community is not in support of your view. Reminder, hit the subscribe button below, turn on the notification bell, hit the like button, and leave a comment. And don't forget to visit us at justscripture.org. But in the meantime, stay salty.